lighting up every corner of the nation with the radiance of progress. Power Grid Corporation of India wishes you a very happy Republic Day.
The comfortable radio.
This is Network 18 and you are watching CNBC TV 18.
Hello and welcome to this very first show, coming to you on the first day of the WEF's annual meeting. We come to you live from Davos, and I have with me Uday Kotak of Kotak Mahindra Bank and Ajit Gulabchand of HCC. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Very happy Republic Day to both of you. We have a strong Indian contingent here of 120 leaders, I'm told, and several ministers that are expected to join us between today and tomorrow. I'm curious to know, what India story are we selling, Mr. Gulabchand? Because back home, the newspaper headlines are full of gloom.
Let's put it this way. We've been meeting here last year in Davos. It was a lot of gloom. It was lifting. The crisis was past, but the economic crisis was still upon us. It has lifted further, even though there's a mixed news. The world is not celebrating, but breathing a sigh of relief. And so I think this Davos is looking at itself in that context. Now, when the Indians decided to come here and make the India Inclusive Show, it was decided a while back, before the goings-on in India. And we've actually seen a precipitous fall in the sentiment and the cynicism creeping in only in the last 4 months. But I think, as it happens at the time of boom, all the good things completely put a blanket over all the bad things that are happening. All this gloom spreading and the scams and all the cynicism also covers up for a lot of good that is happening. So I think we are on course to be part of the world, in spite of the happenings around the world and happenings in India. I think that's the message. What else?
Mr. Kotak, Mr. Gulabchand called it a precipitous fall in sentiment. Yesterday I was speaking with Azim Premji, and he said it's a national calamity, the governance deficit and the policy paralysis that we are facing. His words, national calamity, and that he was very disappointed in Dr. Manmohan Singh. We had great expectations from his government in the UPA too. What do you make of the India we're attempting to sell here in Davos in a year, let me remind you, when the US seems to be doing all right and is back on the recovery path? We don't have the big sovereign debt crisis hanging over our heads, so other parts of the world are also looking attractive.
You know, Menika, Indian business at times tends to be exuberant or pretty despondent, and my view is that the India story will have its cyclical ups and downs on the way, but the trend line still is pretty strong. Having said that, if you go back to the history of the India story through the 90s and early 2000s, and when I used to come to Davos, it was primarily a bottom-up company story. The top-down India story through the 90s and early 2000s was not looking as strong.
Okay.
Between 2002, 2003 to 2008, 2009, India story, in addition to the bottom-up story, became a strong top-down story as well. What we have to focus on now is that while the bottom-up individual corporate India story will continue to keep its momentum, how do we ensure that the top-down doesn't drop from where we are?
How do we ensure that?
I think it's not an easy one, and for that it requires pretty significant focus on, number one, governance issues, number two, focusing on efficiency and productivity of the economy. Your current account is rising, which shows that Indian exports are less competitive than the need for imports. So we got to get our basics focused on as a macro theme, and corporate India can do only this much. It has to be a combination of broader governance and society combined with actions of corporate India for sustainable growth.
Okay, let me come to the micro questions with regards to the Indian economy, and then I'll come back to whether you think India does, offer an attractive destination for foreign investment this year. What do you make of the recent rate hikes that we've had? Most people expected 25 basis points, but there is a sense that the RBI will continue on its tightening path over the course of the next several months.
I think India has got the positives of growth, and with it come inflation. The rest of the world would die for India's growth, even if it meant inflation coming in. Therefore, we should not get too worried about that. Having said that, what we have to ensure that the inflation does not become structural and it doesn't become more deep-rooted. And from that point of view, rate hikes are something which are appropriate, and we are moving towards a scenario where we will have positive real interest rates.
Hasn't it already become rather sticky? Because we've had several tightening moves, and we now in fact have the government and the RBI moving up their inflation target instead of moving it down to 7%.
From that point of view, we're still not in the real interest rate positive zone. Therefore, we need to go further, and which we will see through 2011. And my view is we're seeing another approximately 100 basis points increase in repo and reverse repo rates through 2011 from here.
The calendar year you're referring
Yes.
to. Mr. Gulab Chand, that's the banker speaking, right? And he's talking from both the macroeconomic point of view as well as, from the bank's point of view. From the company's point of view, how much more difficult has the operating environment with regards to access to funds gotten over the course of the last several months as we've seen interest rates move up?
Well, we have seen that the access to funds has slightly slowed down because of the paucity of funds with the banks to some extent. The hardship has been compounded by the fact that there is an interest rise, a steep interest rise, which is affecting bottom lines. But having said that, the spectre of inflation looms so large that I think it is better to contain it, because while you go through a small hardship in the initial stages, you are likely to get a more robust economy afterwards. There are some inevitables in India. For example, most of the economy, even more than 50%, is outside the banking system. So interest rate hikes are not adequate to really control it. We need a hell of a lot more measures in order to control inflation. First of all, a clear signal that the government and the RBI is going to control inflation, to control inflation expectations. Second thing is, we must create those instruments like the Office of Debt Management, changes in the whole process of governance of banking system. And if we don't do that on time, then we lose all the wherewithal we will need to battle an economy as complex as India's.
We haven't done that, and this is not the first time we're talking about the Office of Debt Management. I remember in previous Davos so clearly it's not as if they don't know that this is a looming problem. Do you believe they've dealt with it as effectively whilst balancing the need for growth? I'm saying this both for the central bank as well as from the government's point of view.
But I feel that we waste a lot of time. When we have time on our hands, instead of making these reforms and therefore making India's fundamentals stronger. I agree with Uday. India's story is good and it continues to be good. It's basically improving the story, making the fundamentals more strong. For entrepreneurs and investors to invest, even at best of times, 100% fundamentals, 100% sentiment, the decision is 1 out of 3. Yes, no, or wait. When the sentiment drops, the fundamentals are not being improved upon and therefore look weak in the long run, then obviously the investment decisions drop. Entrepreneurs fear for their investment, and so you get this feeling, and therefore it creates a vicious cycle of no investment. So
is that the sentiment in industry right now?
At the moment,
continued caution,
I think
the inability therefore to expand and invest as aggressively as it would have liked to.
That is right.
Are you seeing that from your borrowers as well?
What Ajit is saying may be true in pockets, but what is also happening is that if you look at the composition of our GDP and divide it between consumption and investment, the consumption side of the story is going extremely well. And whether it is domestic demand for cars, trucks, tractors, construction equipment, we are seeing that demand being pretty robust. Yes, we face challenges and bottlenecks in the areas of infrastructure, where we are also going through what I would call as philosophic questions about how do you draw the line between challenges of infrastructure, development, environment, society issues. So I think these are the battles which democracy faces from time to time. But the core domestic demand consumption story is intact.
But isn't that in fact what's fueling inflation? That on the investment side we aren't seeing the kind of pickup that we need, but we are seeing it on the consumption side. Therefore the supply side
which is why one has to compliment the RBI that it has taken small steps ahead and not given a sledgehammer.
Okay.
It is responsive to the fact that you don't want the economy to be choked, keeping in mind that inflation is high. Therefore you have to balance the fact that inflation is coming mainly from supply side, and therefore you don't increase interest rates so much that supply side investment decisions start slowing down.
Aditya Birla Group presents CNBC TV18 CNBC Awaaz Budget 2011. Will it make the impact India needs?